If you love Poppy Playtime, you'll love talking about its mysteries. The things that we don't quite know about, that remain mysterious to you, but slowly get clearer as more of the story is released. Yeah, that's right, we talking mysteries, and the top 10 Scary Poppy Playtime Mysteries at that. If you love the series and want to see more about it, be sure you let us know in the comments and hit like. Maybe we can play it when chapter 2 comes out or something. Anyway, let's do it. In at 10, Huggy's Return. Now after the trailer for chapter 2 came out, I think it's fairly safe to say that Huggy Wuggy, or at least the one we fought in chapter 1, Experiment 1006, is indeed dead. The symbolism in the first shot of the trailer says it all, unless that's meant to mean that Mommy is going to bring him back somehow. However, it's also worth noting that one of the Huggies that comes after us in a clip later on in that trailer is blue. So, could this be the same Huggy? I don't really think that it is, but it's technically possible. Like, if this was indeed supposed to be a team of like assault Huggies, I don't think 1006 would be there, because like, and if he was, we'd be fighting off 6 Huggies instead of 4. So seemingly the only two that are missing from this fight are Kissy Missy in 1006. And considering how Kissy is missing, I think it's because she's over mourning Huggy and trying to bring him back or something, maybe, like, I don't know. But like, at least for this chapter, Huggy is hopefully dead. And maybe the assault of the Huggies is actually because of his death and the rest are mad at us. But this could all just be a ruse and we'll have to contend with Huggy again later on. We didn't see a corpse at the end of chapter 1, so as we learned from FNAF, anything is possible in indie horror. In at 9, Poppy's Side. There is a narrator in this trailer as well. Someone who's giving us the rundown and telling us that Mommy doesn't like visitors. Like, damn, Mommy, okay, I get it. You like your private time. You don't want a crowd. I get it, I respect it. However, this voice is most likely Poppy, unless it's a character that we haven't been introduced to yet. And if this is Poppy, it is kind of confirming the theories that people had about chapter 1, where we thought that Poppy was going to be a passive and helpful character unlike Huggy, both due to her willingness to be a toy when she was human and her gratefulness at being released from her case. Although, there is still a possibility for kind of like a double cross, circus baby style, okay? Because now she's like trying to like guide us and like she has a secret agenda. I'm absolutely positive of it. As to whether that secret agenda is going to be good for the player or not, we don't know. So unless this is a new character that wasn't introduced yet, this is definitely Poppy, since Mommy Longlegs' voice isn't used until the end of the trailer when she taunts the player. Or I guess technically taunts the audience, because we're not playing. And at 8, who is Huggy? Now, I think it's been fairly well established that the various monsters we're going to be facing throughout these chapters are humans turned into toys, instead of humans turned into animatronics. But while we seem to know the identity of Poppy, Stella Graber, we're unsure of who Huggy's human was, or even if it matters. Some consider Laith Pierre to be Huggy's human, and it's certainly possible, but as of yet unconfirmed, thus it remains a mystery. It could really be anyone, aside from us as the player, seemingly aside from Stella, or from the researcher in the videotapes talking about how Experiment 1006 escaped. But at least we now know that Huggy is 1006, and not because of the other characters like Braun and Cappy, but instead he's 1006 because of the other iterations of Huggy that we seem to be interacting with in chapter 2, Fly in a Web, which is already a creepy type because we all know how I feel about spiders. DJ Music Man is okay because he has 6 legs and not 8. And while Mommy Longlegs only has 4 legs, there are a load of spider webs all over this chapter, okay? So I'd rather not. Plus, I mean, like a spider who makes you call her mommy? No thank you. And it's 7 chapters. While we know that chapter 2 is set to release sometime this spring, seemingly, hopefully, we don't know overall how many chapters they really plan on having. And if they have mentioned it or have said it somewhere in the past, forgive me. But even if they did, I don't know if we can really trust them. I mean, we were originally only supposed to get 3 FNAF games and here we are on number 9. So I don't think that we can really trust them. Any successful franchise will keep going as long as they can, especially when the company cares about sales. And considering some of the things that the community had to do to get the name of Mommy Longlegs before the trailer came out, because we didn't even get it in the trailer, I think we can all agree that they do indeed enjoy money, but I mean, we all do. And before you ask, yes, I'm talking about those goddamn NFTs. Like, what were you thinking, Enchanted Mob? Like, very few gamers from what I've seen like the concept of NFTs, since it's basically EA microtransactions on illicit substances. So, I really don't know why you thought it would be a good idea to release 30,000 of them, only to sell 600, but I guess you get what you deserve. And at 6, Fallout. There is a reason that the toy factory went debunked in the first place. We don't really know what it is though. We have ideas, but the actual reason it crumbled is a mystery and quite the interesting concept, because every location has a story, right? Like a series of events that led to its end. Like how someone dropping a penny leads to someone finding that penny, selling it for $2, getting hot dogs because they got those $2, stumbling upon a wedding dress sale when your friend really needs a dress for her wedding, causing you both to camp out there all night, so you're exhausted the next day and you take a nap at your partner's house, but you walk in on your partner's roommate being weird, and in their shock causes them to fall down, break their toe, and be unable to run in the New York City Marathon. So your other friend goes in their stead, causing his legs to be unable to function and then trapping him on the subway. So you jump the subway turnstile to save him and then get arrested in the process and sentenced to community service the morning of your flight to a big job interview, causing you to miss out on the opportunity. Every building has a story like that, but instead of missing a job, it's becoming defunct and abandoned. But like, what's the story of Playtime Co? I don't know. And yes, that was a long-winded How I Met Your Mother reference. Halfway through into number 5, human toys. The idea that humans are turned into toys is a pretty solid one, and it makes a load of sense. However, my original idea was that only some of the toys were made into humans. For example, only Poppy used in the commercials was a human, while the rest were actual toys. But now I'm thinking that it might be every single toy in this factory. Whether they be oversized, commercial props, or just normal toys, they could all be human, and that's pretty damn insane. Like, Fazbear Entertainment is doing some pretty questionable stuff, sending out animatronics to families when they know damn well that they're on the fritz, pun intended. But sending out toys to kids that are actually humans changed into toys is a whole other thing. Like, who the living tombstone thought that was a good idea? Or even like an alright idea. Like, sure, making a human into a doll for a commercial, I'd kind of understand. Like, there's a whole industry of food designers that make every food item in commercials look their best, like using mashed potatoes instead of ice cream. But this seems like it's just a little bit much, and I went to school for advertising, so I think I have at least enough knowledge to say that. Cause like, goddamn, that's weird. In at 4, under wraps. How have they kept their whole our toys are humans thing under wraps so well? I mean, like, seriously. We see that Huggy, when he hits the pipe on the way down in chapter 1, ends up bleeding. And we know that the Huggy from the beginning of chapter 2's trailer isn't the same one because there's no pool of blood. But kids are rough as hell with toys. Like, I would throw mine around, I would bash them on stuff. How did Playtime Co. keep the whole these are all humans thing under the radar if the toys they sent out are gonna start bleeding? Or like, is that the point? Is that why they got closed down? Like, not because Huggy got loose, but because the toys started bleeding? I mean, getting shut down because your toys start bleeding makes more sense than animatronics leaking blood and then nobody investigating. Since this is, after all, from Enchanted Mob, a channel that made plenty of Minecraft, FNAF animations and music videos, so there would be a bit of FNAF inspiration behind these games. Maybe they had things go down this way to like aim to be a bit more realistic. Like, maybe they saw me calling out FNAF for this kind of crap and they figured that they'd make sure that I couldn't do that with their game, but alas, here I am doing it anyway. I doubt Enchanted Mob watches any of these videos. I only feel like a little famous when someone comments on my TikTok saying like, oh, it's the FNAF guy from YouTube. That's the only time I feel even slightly famous. And at 3, the process. What is the process for turning humans into toys? Like, is it scientific? Is it ritualistic? Is it demonic? What is the process to make toys out of humans? Like, in such a way that they would actually bleed and need to eat and like have organs and stuff. Because if it was demonic, I feel like it would be more of like in the realm of just like transporting the soul of the person into the stuffed toy. But this time around, I have absolutely no idea how they actually do this kind of thing. And I don't think that the toy machine we see in chapter 1 actually has anything to do with it. It feels to me like more of a MacGuffin, like something to distract us. That machine doesn't really have any significance aside from just making the Cappy toy that lets us move on. Out of just toy parts, might I add. No humans involved in that toy making process aside from us getting the items moving. Like, I doubt that we will ever actually get an answer because, like, how do you explain something like that? But hey, it's still something interesting to think about. But ultimately, in at number 2, the player. The idea that we ourselves are a toy is so seemingly off the rails that it fits perfectly within this story, or the story that we think could be playing out. If people are being turned into monstrous versions of these toys, and Huggy Wuggy was supposedly Experiment 1006, what if we're also an experiment? Starting off the game, we don't see any of our own body, not even our hands, being only able to grab stuff with the grab pack given to us at the start of the game. So, yeah, why would we not be able to use our own hands if we're human? Like, that would just be instinctive, right? Like, if there's a toy in front of me, I'm not gonna, like, push a button to grab it. I'm gonna just reach my hand out. Well, it would make sense if we are a toy, but the game didn't want us to know that yet. It could also explain how we're brought back to life over and over in that one death line of death isn't permanent, since being a toy combined with a human would most likely not end up dying permanently. Maybe. Especially if there is some other entity that's able to resurrect us like Poppy. I don't know, but like being a toy kinda sounds like this could be where the story is going. But and finally, in at number 1, the story. The biggest mystery of this game. seems to be the actual story. Like, we don't know what any character in this series has planned. We don't know Poppy's true intentions. We don't know why we came back to the goddamn Playtime Co. factory, aside from a cruelly written letter that, let's be honest, nobody would have really believed. Things just don't quite add up, and that's the whole point of an indie horror game. Things aren't supposed to add up. That would make it way too easy. And while some people online do have ideas about what's really going on in Poppy Playtime, those are just theories. They have evidence, but they aren't confirmed. And with so many different interpretations about what could actually be the story, we really have to take them with a grain of salt until we know more. Some seem more likely than others, but I mean, who really gets what they expect in an indie horror game? The people making it, exactly. The creators and Steam gets what they want. And with the creators of Poppy Playtime making missteps like hiding clues in merch and even NFTs, yeah, you thought I was done with that? No. We can't be sure that we know where their story is heading. And yes, I'm not kidding, they actually made NFTs that caused such backlash that they had to apologize and actually promise not to do it again. So yeah, we really don't know what they're thinking. Clearly. That's all the time we have for today, friends. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been and shall remain Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video.